Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. Today we're going to be restoring an original Sweet 16 Ford J car. Now this race car was more of the circuit type racing back in the late 60s. This particular car was built in the United States, and there is a version of this car that was made with blue enamel instead of the normal Spectraflame paint, and that car was given out as a special promotion at the Indianapolis 500 back in 1968. These cars are considered very, very rare, and if you happen to come across one, I definitely wouldn't be messing with that one. I would be keeping it. Well, anyways, they had the Hong Kong version also, and the Hong Kong version, the bases were actually made and painted to match the color of the car. Alright, well, let's get started on this bad boy. Let's have some fun. I've already drilled out the post for the car. This car appears to be a rose-colored or magenta-colored paint. We're going to restore it in the same color or something close. Now, this car is absolutely loaded with dirt. It's got all kinds of, I don't know, things inside there. But we're going to clean this up really good. The paint's in really bad shape, so we definitely got to strip that and polish. Look at all the mess inside there. It looks like it was parked underneath a tree or something. All the wheels need to be replaced. The base needs to be polished really good. We'll definitely take care of that. The windshield's got some paint on it, and look at the interior on that thing. Like I said, it looked like it was parked underneath a tree. Well, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started on the body. Here we're going to put the body in some citrus strip. Well, I guess I'll just throw it in there. Coat the inside and the outside and make sure that you get rid of all the old paint. I'll let it sit for a few hours, if not overnight, because I'm not in a really big hurry. But we'll cover it up with the citrus strip and we'll let it sit for a while. I got it out of the citrus strip and I polished it up. Here I'm blowing off the dust. Now, for some reason, I happened to lose the video where I was cleaning and polishing it up, and I do apologize. But enough of my other videos have got that scene, or at least those procedures in there. And if you have any questions, just don't hesitate to contact me inside the comments section of the video. Here again, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and paint this magenta. It's about the closest color I have to the original color. We're going to put a light tack coat on top of it, and once we get the entire car coated, we're going to let that set for probably about 5 minutes, just to allow that paint to start to harden and dry and just get all sticky. This gives it a really good tooth to bite on for any future paint that you put over the top of it. But I get the inside and the outside of the car, and I try and get the hard to reach areas first. Let's go ahead and let that sit for about 5 minutes. Alright, we've let it set for about 5 minutes to tack up. Now we're going to put a few more light coats on there, and then we're going to give it some saturation coats. And when I say saturation, you want it to look shiny, but you don't want it to be so wet that it starts to run on you. And if you spray too much paint on there, folks, you definitely can get runs. Now you can try and sand those runs down and paint over it again, but honestly the best way to handle it is to throw it back in a paint stripper, strip it down, and paint it again. And you know what? I've had to do that before, and it's not fun because it delays your project a day or two, if not longer, and it's just not fun. So take your time with the paint and it will come out really, really nice. Here we're using Spectraflame Magenta from the Redline shop. They've got wonderful products there. Alright, I think that's enough. We'll put it in the cabinet to dry. Now we're going to go after the windshield. I went and I took the windshield and I sanded that paint off there, polished it up as best I could. Now we're going to dip it in the gauzy. Now all these bubbles in the gauzy, or if you happen to be using the Pledge Revive or anything like that, try not to use or have the bubbles in there, because if you do, you're liable to get those bubbles form on your windshield, and you'll have to sand it down lightly and do it all over again. So make sure you have no bubbles there. Once you dip it in the Gauzy or the Pledge Revive, whatever you have, try and wick off the excess there so it doesn't pool up on your windshield. And use a paper towel or something like that. And then put it on something, on some paper towel to dry, and then cover it with some type of plastic or whatever so the dust doesn't get at it, and it will turn out really nice. Now we're going to go after the base. The base is pretty tarnished. This here is definitely a US version by looking at the base. And we're going to put it in a mixture of lime away and water, approximately a 50-50 mixture. Now, immediately, as soon as you put it in this mixture, it's going to start bubbling. Now, the longer you leave it in there, the more bubbles it's going to get. Try and only go for about 3 to 4 minutes on this, because if you leave it longer, the mixture of chemicals is going to stain the base black. It'll stain it chemically, and it'll be very, very hard to get out. So watch what you're doing. Don't let it sit too long, and your base will turn out fine. Let's let that sit for a few minutes, and we'll get right back to you here. It's been about 3.5 to 4 minutes. Look at all the foam on there from the tarnish that has been eaten away by the lime away and water. Now we're going to use the brass brush and we're going to scrub it down. Make sure you wear your safety gear here, folks. I've got a vinyl glove on or a latex glove on here, and I'm using this brass brush to scrub it down. Also, I'm wearing my safety glasses. You don't want to get this stuff in your eyes because it'll burn. So take a tip there from your Uncle Paulie. Wear your safety gear and it will save you some heartache later on. Plus it'll save your vision, okay? Scrub it down with the brass brush. Try and get as much of the tarnish away as you possibly can. And then rinse it off with water and dry it off. It'll look good. Alright, now it's time to change out the tires. This has got 4 medium tires on, the bearing style wheels. I got my wheels at the Redline shop. I also got this tub of wheels that I got here that I'm going to probably be selling on eBay soon. If anybody's interested, contact me in the contacts. I would love it to where one of my subscribers gets these wheels instead of selling them on eBay. So if you're interested in them, let me know. They're all original tires. There's regular tires in there, bearing type. It's got the cap styles in there also. Put your thumb on either side of it and put equal pressure on the tire to remove it from the bearing. If it feels like it's really sloppy or if it's giving you any resistance, stop and cut the wheel off. Don't take the chance of ruining your axles because they're very hard to replace, especially if they're not all one unit. If they're individual wires like that, you got to be super careful with them. Now notice the bearings. On this car they're orange. On other cars they're white. On other cars they could be blue. And the only reason for that is because when Mattel put out a contract to have these pieces and parts made, they sent them to several factories around the world. Mostly, of course, over in Asia. But depending on what plastic they were using, that's the reason for the different colors of the bearings. It's no other significance than that. So, like I said, you may have orange bearings, or white bearings, or blue bearings, or gray bearings. It has no bearing on this conversation. So, and oh god, that pun was friggin' horrible. Anyways, using your adjustment tool, put it between the bearing and the wire, and push it on there with your thumb with equal pressure. And the reason you do that is because you don't want to bend your axle. If you bend the axle, it's a real booger to try and get that thing straight. These are starting to look pretty good. You can tweak it a little bit. You can use that tool to tweak it a little bit. Just be really careful, folks. These cars are 50 plus years old. I think this particular one is like 53 years old, all right? And if you push around something that's 53 years old, something's going to break. All right, we've got all of our pieces together. We've got the beautifully restored and painted body. I did some detail to this put the tail lights on there and colored in the vents black. We've got the base here that's all cleaned up. We got brand new shoes all the way around. That's looking good. The interior has been cleaned with soap and water. That looks excellent. And this windshield looks absolutely stunning. Now, I don't think they make aftermarket windshields for these cars, so you got to take it easy with them. And this is what we started with. A tired old Ford J car. This thing was just all beaten up. The paint looked horrible on it. The wheels are all worn out. The windshield has got paint on it from either a kid or something. Maybe somebody was trying to touch it up with nail polish or something. The inside of the car was completely covered with, I don't know, some kind of nasty substance. But we took it apart, we cleaned it, we polished it, we buffed it, we put new wheels on it, put some spectacular Spectre Flame magenta paint on there, and it turned out fantastic. And this is what we got to. A beautifully restored Hot Wheels original Sweet 16 Ford J car. 4 brand new shoes all the way around. The beautiful magenta paint. We did the best we could with the windshield, but that turned out pretty good. We detailed the lights in the back and the sections that needed black, but the car turned out absolutely beautiful. Now this car will be going into my Sweet 16 giveaway. Hopefully I'll have them all done by the end of March. But this car turned out fantastic. A wonderful addition to anyone's collection. Beautiful, beautiful restoration. I'm very happy with it. I've also got a Patreon page. I'd like you to take a look in the comments section of this video. With the Patreon membership, you get early views of any videos that I'm releasing. You get photographs of works in progress. We do a monthly drawing for cars that I do in some of these videos and some special things. And we have a lot of fun with that too, folks. But I'd like to go ahead and thank my current Patreon members, Chris Smith, Jim Silva, who's got a YouTube page. Please check him out. Stacy Wright, new member Daryl Bagtel. Thank you so much, my friend. Aaron Murphy, who was one of my first subscribers and is a good friend. And William Robinson, Mr. K7. Thank you so much for everything that you do for my page and being a member of the Diecast Graveyard team. Thank you so much for joining me today on Diecast Graveyard. Had a great time restoring this car and making videos for you folks. If there's anything you'd like to see, just please leave a comment and I read everything, I promise you. This is Paul from Diecast Graveyard. Have a great day.